let's discuss some options for the center checkerboard of this design. Now I've drawn out a couple checkerboards here. The one in our design is 6 by 6. This is 4 by 4, but it will give you an idea of what we're doing. The first one, the grid is entirely stitched out before we start. And this is called the checkerboard. We've done this before in other lessons, but I'll review it with you. We're going to start out by just doing some matchsticks in the first square. And you can make these as close together or as far apart as you want. You just want to be consistent on how you do them. Let me cut this away here. So basically I'm going to do every other one. So I'm going to skip down to this row here to continue on with the checkerboard effect. And I'm going to come down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 7 is what I'm going to, that is the number I'm going to use for how many back and forths in each square. Now the problem is I need to be up in this square right now. So I'm just going to follow the guideline to get up here. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And again, I want to be down here, so I'm going to walk down the guideline. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, now we need to be over here. So I'm going to stitch my way over along the guideline and continue on. Now the nice thing about this design, although I'm sure you're tired of doing matchsticks, is all the hills and valleys that this produces. Because basically it's like whack-a-mole. We're pushing the batting down here and allowing it to puff up into squares on each side of it. And with the heavier batting, that works out very nicely. I need to get all the way over here to the end. So I'll do that by walking along the stitch grid so I can get this last box. So that's one way of doing this. You see how it's puffing these unstitched squares up. Doing it in matching or alternate color thread is just as nice. And now we're going to do another design that we've also done before. And this design can be done either on a stitched grid like this, or you can leave the grid unstitched and just stitch around it. So this all starts, and this really takes advantage of the rule that I keep saying over and over. Do not watch your needle, watch where you're going. So we're going to start in the intersection here, and we're going to do a narrow, shallow arc and end up in this intersection up here. And let me show you how we're going to do that. So we're starting here in this intersection, a narrow arc up to the next intersection. Now we're going to hop over to the other intersection, other corner, narrow arc, down, hop up to the intersection again. And a lot of people, when they're doing this design, try to make these arcs really plump, and that makes them harder to control. So it's easier to make shallow arcs instead. Okay, so once we get to the end, then what we're going to do what I call the bunny hop over to the left-hand side again. So we're going to hop, 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 and hop. Now I always like to start these in the lower left-hand side. So I'm going to stitch down the grid and start again. Up, over, down, up, over, down, up, over, down, hop, 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 and hop. Now you can see that this is making sort of flower petal design as it is right now. And that has that line going through it. Now we're going to work down here where I have not stitched the grid, and you'll see the difference. So I'm going to stitch up, over, down, up, over. The critical part of this stitch is to always meet up in the intersections. That will be your mark of success. And then we're going to hop over to the other side. Scroll down, then up, over, down, up, over, down, up, over, down, up, over, down. Now let's hop across. Now the difference between these two, you can see this definite line, which adds to the design, or you can have more of a cathedral windows or a double wedding ring effect without the lines. This stitch pretty much goes with the element of our block or our row, and that we have rounds and we have circles in this to emulate the circles that are in our row. So this is also a nice block. The advantage of this block is it's taking away from some of the roundness that we have in our row. So either one will be fine. Now I'm going to show you another one that we've never done before that I think is kind of pretty. So I'll be back with you with that one. On this new fill, I've gone ahead and gridded out the 6x6 grid just like on your row by row. And what you're going to do is stitch around the outer edge of this block only. You're not going to stitch the grids. Now, put your thinking cap on and think back when we were doing the back to the basics. I kind of really gave you a lot of scallop things to do. And towards the end of the series, we did a twisted ribbon. Do you remember that? And we did tiny little scallops all around that ribbon. Well, here's when that practice is going to pay off. Not only do you remember, don't watch the needle, watch where you're going, but how to do the little scallops. And I think you all agreed the little scallops were easier to do and control than the large ones. So we're going to start these scallops. We're going to do these at the top of each horizontal line. We're going to start in the corner intersection. We're going to aim for the center of that block and then over to the other intersection. And what we're going to do is put in 2 small scallops. And let me show you how we're going to do that. So we start in this intersection. We're going to watch the halfway point and then over to the intersection. Now let's do it again. Go to the halfway point, over to the intersection. Halfway point, over to the intersection. So basically it's the same as we were doing for the orange peel, except instead of doing one big arc from corner to corner, we're doing 2. Okay, now we're going to work our way down to the next row, because unlike the orange peel, we're not going to go around the entire block like we did before. We're going to do this row by row, which is sort of suited for what we're doing here. So I'm going to lift up my camera just a little bit so that my hand's not continually in your way. So give me a minute. Well, I guess I was already at the top of the limit, so I'll just try to keep my hand out of the way for you. So now we're going to work back the other way. We're going to halfway and then to the intersection. Halfway and then to the intersection. So this is almost like the final part of the orange peel, the bunny hop, except it's doing a double hop. Now I'm going to stitch down here, because like I said, we're going to keep all of these stitches going horizontally on the top of the row. So now we're going to come around here. Also, just as with the orange peel, in order to be successful at this stitch, you want to make sure that you're hitting the intersections. So let's work on down here. think you may find this easier to control than the one big arc. And this will be our final row, coming back. Okay, now that we've gotten to this corner, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do the vertical rows. And we're going to stay to the right-hand side of the vertical rows. So we're going to work up halfway to the corner, halfway to the corner, halfway. Now we're going to walk our way over and come down the right-hand side of this row. Now I'm going to let this film run while I'm doing this stitch. I'm just going to speed it up a little bit so it's not like watching paint dry for you. The design that I just showed you is from Cindy Seitz Krug, and she has this book filled with all kinds of grid designs if you like them as much as I do. I've put the book on my Amazon page so you can find it easily. Doesn't that give a nice texture to your quilt? It's kind of unusual. So you have 3 options to try. It doesn't matter which one you use. It's totally up to you. You actually have 4 options because you can do this with the grid stitched or not. So I'm anxious to see what you work with. This way, not every row by row will be the same. Join me in the next part 3 to go over how we can do the plate handles, and then we'll get into the background. I'll see you there.